Good morning, everyone. I believe the Wednesday crew is getting assembled. So give us a few minutes. Morning, Rands. Morning, Hero. And I believe Lido might be on the coffee cup. Could be wrong, though.
I don't think Ryan liked that.
Leave it to me, you know.
Oh man, he's just like, what are you talking about? I'm getting out of here. Where's the crew? I hate those guys. Oh man. Um, yeah, I'm trying to craft a tweet for uh for the show, and I can't decide if I should. I'm trying to find a graphic to go with the word easy. Um,
I think
Eight,
your mom.
the delegators to Husky Rock pools have claimed over 50 trillion
I'll
Husky
see myself
tokens.
out. Thank you.
I'll let you look up yourself what our beloved
oh man,
idiots put a
what's a
value
good
on that on
graphic
the
to go with
second-hand
the word
markets today.
easy?
We're
Hey,
still
Rand
in
came back.
disbelief
Rand,
of
I
what's
thought you
going on,
left
but
because
we
CookThyme
told them what we're
mentioned the
giving you.
Wednesday crew, and you were like, I hate those people. I'm out of here.
Looking at the numbers a little bit further away,
Good morning, Jenny.
when
Morning,
rock
guys.
pools
I need a
got
minute. Give
started
me
with
1 minute.
15
I'll be right
pools, there
back.
was about 34 million ADA delegation
Take
between
two.
all of
In the
them.
meantime,
Today,
CookTime,
there is
what's
157
happening to
million.
your boss's
The
phone?
amount of
Do you
delegators
still have
since
his
the
good
beginning
phone?
has
Do you need to return
octupled,
it?
and over
Oh, I returned that
123
a while
million
ago. I
ADA
see
Oh,
that
have been delegated to the rock
John's
pool since
coming
the
up to the
beginning of
stage.
well,
this.
he's trying to.
Yeah, trying. Yeah, he's coming to collect, you know.
Oh man. Oh sheesh. Yeah, John, use the good phone.
Speaking of multiple phones, that's one thing I need to kind of invest in. It's going to be really helpful.
Dude, everyone be
One
asking me
condo.
why do I have two phones? Obviously, you're not busy enough.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah. I have lots of numbers, but I have one physical device.
Oh, dude, I'd go insane. I'd literally.
Um, yeah, my wife is convinced that I'm doing something shady.
I was sitting there, and my that I'm using right now. I'm eating dinner with my mom. It goes bzz, 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 and it literally went off for like an entire hour every single minute. And she's like, "How?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I barely have my phone on ringer just because of that. It's
I gotta keep up with
ridiculous.
the stuff, man. I got that's my
It's
job.
ridiculous.
Yeah, John, I know
DCT, how
those
many
looks.
phones do you have?
I get those looks. I only have one, but it goes off so much that I get those looks where people are just like, "What is this guy into?" Um,
Right?
yeah, but I'm gonna drop down. I'm not really technically a part of the Wednesday Cool Crew, um, and I'm just
Hey, don't step down. Where are you going?
I know,
I'm walking
right?
my dog. Where I went up to see my family, and it's like 20 something degrees, and it's freezing, and I'm trying
Are
to.
you not going to be in for this one? I mean, this is like calling like developers today. This is like going to be a show for you, man. What the heck? You have to
He's
stay.
trying to ditch us, Jenny. It's okay.
All right, I'll
Oh,
hang.
hi,
I'll hang as
DCT.
long as I can until we see like a deer or something, and I get pulled down.
Sounds
What
good.
part of North Carolina are you in? We should like get together
Western.
unless you're too far.
Yeah, it's way out west. I'm in. It's called Franklin. It's by like Bryson City.
Ah, you're by Bryson City. I love Bryson City. Yeah, you're a little west for me.
Yeah,
Make
it's
it
pretty though.
Gonna make TCT walk in the cold for 3 hours for this interview.
The sun's out now, so it's not too bad. It's got to be in the high 30s now, I would think.
Do you have some like beautiful mountain views? That's what I imagine North Carolina is, just a bunch of beautiful mountains.
Oh yeah, out west here, yeah, that's all it is. And like, right now all the leaves are down, so it's pretty cool. Like you can see through the trees, you know, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, Bryson City is really neat. And they have like around there they have this train. I think that's Bryson City is where you can take the train that train that turns into the Polar Express, right? That goes around the mountain. Have you ever done that?
I do. I know what you're talking about. Yep. And there's good fishing there. I like it because I trout fish on that river, the Tuskegee.
Yeah, the mountains are pretty neat around here for sure. They're beautiful. We had a short fall, so it's probably how are the colors right now up in the mountain? Is it like all gone by now?
Yeah, everything's gone. Like all the trees are bare.
Yeah, we got winter, man. Winter just hit out of nowhere.
Yeah, my little one wants to see snow, so I'm probably going to drive up to like Boone or something. There should be snow up there, I'm assuming.
It could be. Go to the Seven Devils around there. They have like the tubing. It's pretty cool. So today, I know you might have some questions about our guest. And our guest today, it's going to be really cool for Cardano developers. Definitely stay tuned because these guys develop a bunch of open source tools and infrastructures. They're pretty neat, all open source, and they're going to be here to tell us about it. So it's going to be exciting.
Yep. Yeah, they're really good because like if you get a lot of questions from people like, well, it's too hard to develop on Cardano, then yeah, these are the guys you want to point them to.
Do you guys use any of their tools? You're familiar with their tools, TCT?
Yeah, we're pretty familiar. I don't know if we don't use like Demeter or anything like that because like it's like a true front end dApp, right? Like we need not just DB sync, like we need a whole GraphQL or whatever. We need like all that stuff. But it's there's a lot of stuff you can use it for, and that people do use it for. So maybe with like some of the Catalyst proposals, like for the vesting dApp or the for Kata dApp, it might be wise to use some of the stuff they have. And I know like they work on a lot of those guys are the ones building Icon, and that's something that we're looking forward to.
Share out the space. Oh man, why doesn't it doesn't show the preview?
It came up there.
Okay. This the space join the space button isn't showing for me on this tweet. But maybe it is.
Oh, yeah, I know Jenny, hers has it.
Okay.
I have what? What did you say?
Oh,
Oh,
you just did the post so perfectly, Jenny, that Lido didn't. And Lido's like, where's the speech bubble? Where's the space in the post? And I'm like, well, let me show
Jenny
you
has it.
Jenny's work.
Jenny did it right. Just check out that post. So
Wait, like,
ignore my post. Retweet the Jenny one.
can I ask a question here or a inquiry? So yeah, speaking of like services, if you know anybody other than like Dandelion that wants to let us use a GraphQL node, please let me know. ADAO is looking to put some kind of backup.
I have a GraphQL node.
Ooh, you do? And do you like sharing?
Sure, why not? I like ADAO.
You're gonna make Siegfried so happy.
Yeah, hit me up. I actually just started sharing my DB sync with the freeloader folks, and I've got GraphQL and ArcMules running.
Yeah, wow, that would be awesome. You should see in the development channel in the ADAO server. Yeah, they're definitely looking for you. See how amazing Cardano Over Coffee is?
So amazing. CookThyme, what's a dev graphic?
A dev graphic, like a
Yeah.
developer graphic. I don't know, like some computers, some codes.
Ah! Um, yes, but dev computers and code are not as easy as Friday afternoons, you know? Are people Friday afternoons easy? The cliche easier Sunday morning. I don't know. I thought Friday afternoon would be better. My Friday afternoons are easy.
I think it depends. All depends. But today is Wednesday, and you are hanging out with the Wednesday crew for Cardano Over Coffee. This is a daily space Monday through Friday from 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. The first half an hour is a little bit of catching up and banter, and then we'll get into our guest today, which is TX Pipe Pools, Tools, not pools. My apologies. But yeah, it's Wednesday and it's right before Thanksgiving. So I don't know if anyone has some fun recipes because cook time over here. And maybe I just need to figure out what I need to cook tomorrow. So if anyone has some like good recipes they want to share before we get into it, you're more than welcome.
I actually want to take a quick second here to thank Cardano Over Coffee because I am very thankful for you guys right now. I think it was nice to see a really large, small community when I first got back into Cardano. I've been in Cardano since 2017 and coming back from a really long hiatus and seeing this, it really gave me a sense of direction. So I appreciate all of you.
Well, thank you, John. And if you want to say what you're thankful for, I'm also down for that. And I'm also thankful for you, John, and all these opportunities I've been able to receive. And I'm so thankful for Cardano Over Coffee being a little family on the Cardano blockchain for me. And just being able to, meet everyone at Rare Bloom. It really was really special. And I'm very thankful for those. Welcome, Ada girl.
Hey
Oh, I'm
guys.
thankful. I'm thankful for my Ada girl too. Good morning, guys. Love you
Yeah, I
all.
came up here to say I was thankful for Jenny. She is the best, but I am also thankful for everyone else in here because, man, just like John was saying, and CookThyme and Jenny, I have been so blessed this past year. Just to think about how far we've all come in 1 year, it's pretty crazy. And man, my heart is so full of just being thankful and grateful. And man, I'm going to eat a lot of turkey today and actually tomorrow. I'm going to be cooking today, but turkey tomorrow.
Gobble gobble.
Yeah. So what are y'all cooking? Do y'all have like a special dish that y'all cook for Thanksgiving? Like my kids always ask for like mac and cheese, so I have to make the mac and cheese.
Oh my God, in my house we have so much food. Like it's crazy. Like my mom is always like, I'm making Nana's pound cake and so lemon cookies and great grandpa's like cornbread. She's the one like keeping all the recipes from like generations. And then you get like my brother does a turkey and I'm like bring the Latina flavor. We're like, no, we're gonna do a pernil. I don't know if you know what a pernil is, but it's usually like a leg of pork that you like cook very slowly, and then yeah.
Oh, that
So
sounds yummy. But you see, it's good to have like you can start like a new tradition. So that'll be like in 50 years, like, yeah, we're gonna have chili peas.
that's what I'm saying. And we mix stuff, and then my brother married like my sister-in-law. She's from Belarus, so she does a lot of her Russian salads, and then I don't know. It just becomes like a multicultural feast, and it's crazy wild, and I love it. I really do. Thanksgiving is like, and I bought my grandparents' house, and this is where we've celebrated Thanksgiving forever. So it just became like, now I host Thanksgiving. It's just kind of crazy, right? Like keeping up like tradition stuff, and it's just cool. I love Thanksgiving because everybody really makes an effort to make it. Sometimes Christmas, kids make people want to like have Christmas at their house when they're little. Sometimes, it's just a little different. But Thanksgiving is like the one that everybody just kind of makes it. Everybody makes the effort, so it's really cool.
I'm, another thing I'm super grateful about is that my family doesn't create drama during Thanksgiving. I know a lot of other families have it because I did used to have it. I used to have drama until I cut out the toxicity in my life. But now we just kind of hang out, play Christmas music the entire time. Of course, they give me all kinds of heck for it, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, we don't get drama either. I don't know. We don't get that. I
Yeah, I don't either. And I kind of feel bad because I used to get drama, and like I said, and I don't miss it for
Now you
sure.
feel like an outsider, like you're not part of the Thanksgiving tradition of having drama.
I'm not part of the toxic, drama fest, but I used to have it, and man, tell you when you realize how it could be just so nice just to make your own traditions to kind of cut away from the toxicity. It makes such a big difference in your life, and I'm grateful for that too, that I had the strength to do it.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in, just because you're like born into a family, it doesn't mean necessarily that that has to be your family forever. And if there's toxic people, you gotta, I know everyone's always like, yo, family's there forever, but sometimes there's some really big issues with families, and a lot of people refuse to step away or even take like a break from it. So all
Yeah, it's
power all power to you, Ada girl.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like they have to meet you halfway too, right? It's like at least some of the elders, the expectation is you're consistently always just catering to them. So it makes it a very codependent, weird kind of relationship. And you're just like, what about everybody else? We can't just keep catering to just this one person or put up with other people's bad behavior because it's a holiday. It's just really weird. But yeah, I'm grateful, and I hope that you guys have supportive families too, and it's what you make of it too.
It reminds me of a Adam Sandler movie. It's like which one? No, it wasn't Adam Sandler. It was like Joe Dirt. That guy that's always an Adam Sandler. It's like home's where to make it.
Yeah, that movie is crazy funny.
Where are you, Lido? Are you still thinking of what are you thankful for? You can't find one reason to be thankful for, Lido? Seriously?
I'm thankful for you, Jenny, and our banter and this crew. No, I was responding to something. Yeah, no. This year we're not gonna go anywhere. Baby and all coming soon. And I think we're gonna do a duck instead of a turkey. Or not a turkey. Maybe it's just a chicken. I don't know. I saw something. Last year we did a duck. Did we do a duck last year? I like ducks every now and then for Thanksgiving. A whole duck instead of turkey. Um, you know what I learned yesterday? I don't know if this is true or not because it came from Stephen Colbert, and I can never tell if he's kidding or saying the truth. But apparently, if turkey stare up at the rain, they will drown. Like once they start staring up, if you don't like disrupt them or something, they might just stay there and drown. Um, and I think he was saying it because the White House in the United States had the turkey pardon event yesterday. And he was trying to make you not feel bad about killing and eating your turkey. You're saving them from drowning. So there you go.
What? Later, that was like
How do they drown? Like I'm sitting here
Yeah.
kind of imagining it. There's nothing holding the water. So they'd have that room would have to fill up with water for them to drown. I don't understand.
Turkeys are
What's
pretty
up?
smart. Yeah. Especially wild turkeys. They're pretty. smart. So I'm not buying that, Colbert.
I'm not buying it either.
Pretty much
Lido, where do
calling
you get
bullshit
this?
on that one.
Yeah. Like, so he's looking up, like if I looked up and it was raining, I couldn't drown because I'd have to be in some kind of pool that would have to fill up with the rain. I don't know, it's weird.
Well, I would tweet at him prompto and call bullshit. How's that?
We
Wait,
can
wait,
just keep
wait,
on with our
wait. Hold
lives
on
like
one
this
second.
thing.
Hold on one second. Okay, I just Googled this and on animals that house stuff work. Second result. Will the turkey really drown if it looks up during a rainstorm? That's a question. So apparently this is a thing.
This is a big debate. Huh?
So it's a thing. Okay. All right. It's a thing. What do we do with this information, Lido? What are we supposed to do?
You cook turkeys. You're saving the turkeys from drowning. What's
But
up,
then
San
we kill
Diego?
them though to eat them. Like we're not saving anything.
You remind me of like all my friends in Spain that talk about like the bulls. They're like they've raised this particular bull to then kill them in a show, right? And the reason they say they do it is because if it wasn't because bullfighting, this bull will disappear because it only exists because they breed them. And it's like, what? It's like, you breed them so then you can have fun killing them. That's how, if they need to like, this, it's crazy. It sounds like what you're saying exactly, Lido.
I just kind of imagine this poor turkey looking up and we're like, oh no, it's gonna drown. And we just slash it or cut its head off or something. Like, oh well, I guess we gotta eat it.
Jeez. What's up, San Diego?
Hello, guys. How are you?
Hi,
Doing
Do you know anything
Santiago.
good.
about this turkey? Do you know anything about this turkey business?
Not really. I'm from Argentina, so we don't have Thanksgiving. We don't eat much chicken. Not turkey. Sorry, turkey. So no, I wouldn't know. It sounds a little bit shady, but I don't know.
They could really save the turkey then. In Argentina, you could really save the turkey because you won't eat it.
Yeah.
Well, one of my best friends just came from Argentina to celebrate Thanksgiving with us. And we had some Malbec last night to celebrate.
Here in Argentina, we eat a lot of asado, so cows are not safe here. Sounds.
So you
Turkeys
saving
are.
cows from some the cows die in wild ways like turkeys do?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about wild, but we eat a lot of cows. So yeah, it's not a safe country for cows. It is for a little bit more safe for turkeys.
That's really reassuring to hear. That if we ever have a turkey shortage, we should go to Argentina then.
So
Yeah,
you can
that's right.
save the turkeys by sending them to Argentina instead of slaughtering them and eating them, I guess.
A
Save
safe
the
haven
turkeys,
for
send them to
turkeys.
Argentina. Nobody could eat them.
Wait,
Well,
you had your hand
it
up,
says
Santiago. Go ahead.
yeah, sure. So I work at TX Pipe. So maybe if you wanted to discuss any of our projects, I'm here to answer any questions or just to
Oh yeah, we're
um.
gonna get into it. Like usually we start the show like at 10. So we give it like
Oh,
30 minutes for banter and like, let people come in here and just, get cozy and then we get started. So we're good to start. So it's good that you came up.
okay, great. I just saw the title in Twitter, and I thought it would be relevant to have someone from TX Pipe.
Yes, yes. I hope you guys showed up. We'll get to that in about 5 minutes. Like Jenny said, the first 30 minutes we like to talk about turkeys and other random things.
Actually, I
Who?
missed up. I was supposed to, I talked to Lucas and I should have like tagged him there.
Lucas.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I said thanks bye because
Mm.
he said I'm gonna tell other people to come up because I invited him actually, and I don't know why I didn't put his name on the post now that I realized it. So it wasn't perfect CookThyme. I totally missed Lucas, which was the person that I invited in the first place. And then he was like, I'm going to bring other people from the team, but I don't know if he got to it or not, but I did confirm he's coming. So I'm glad that you showed up too, Santiago, because the more the merrier.
Cool.
I was just coming up to say and save Lida's terrible, thankful, and gratefulness, and, and say that I'm very thankful and grateful for all of you. And this Cardano experience of the last year and a half has been pretty awesome, and I've learned a boatload. So I'm excited to learn about TX Pipe Tools. And Jenny, thanks for letting me know they're going to be on here. So that is it. I have to go back to listener, but thank you all. And I just want to say how grateful I am for meeting all of you.
So thankful for you, Patrick. You have no idea, man. No complaints today.
Absolutely
So
not.
love.
Now that is a thankful statement. I appreciate that so much. I like hearing other people's thankfulness.
Copper Seed Save.
Hey,
Ooh, I'm thankful
thank
for
you.
Copper Seed Safe too. So yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Bye,
Well,
Patrick.
I'm
Much
getting on.
love.
I'm late.
I'm getting on Patrick's Thanksgiving train. I'd much rather listen to this space than speak in it, but I want to give you guys thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about Copper Seed Safe and for the space that you hold down every day this whole year. It's been just a great experience for me to be able to tune in. So thank you guys.
You're amazing, dude. You're such a great guy. So happy to have met you and cross paths for sure. Copper Seeds. Check him out.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for the hugs, Jenny. It was great to meet you.
I'm thankful for Aris Allen. ArisAllen.com. If you are not aware of this company, you should check them out. They make some really good dance shoes. I just got myself a new pair because my last pair just kaput.
I'm also very thankful for caffeine, running every single degenerate in Cardano.
Caffeine, that's a good one.
Totally caffeine for sure.
Making the world run, right? I think that's Duncan's thing.
Dunkin' have a thing.
Oh,
Sketchy
Duncan
things.
has a thing.
Cool.
They think the world
Yes.
runs on Duncan, but it's just addiction and greed, really.
I'm also
That
very
is
thankful this is
ridiculous.
my first day off since before CNFTCon.
First day off of what?
Of everything. Like, I'm in my sweats and sweatshirt right now. I just poured a cup of coffee. I'm going to go sit down in my cozy, brand new couch that I literally haven't even sat in since we got it like 20 days ago.
Well, folks, it's the
Having a
top of
witness
the
the
hour.
best.
You are enjoying John on his first day off at Cardano Over Coffee with the Wednesday crew. We're here Monday to Friday from 2:30 p.m. UTC. We've got the crew from TX Pipe that will be hanging and chilling with us today, talking about some of the open source stuff they're building, answer questions about developing on Cardano, because I contend that building on Cardano is super easy. And you're the folks that's helping with that. Welcome to the show.
And I want to clarify. I
TX
invited
Pipe.
Lucas to talk to us because he was here. He showed up a couple weeks ago when we had Alessandra over. And so, TX5 has more members, but he particularly works in some of these projects and some of the products, right? Particularly Icon. Are you working in other ones too? I'm not sure. But I do want to talk about everything that's involved in this, and we want to learn. But I just wanted to clarify just in case. I know there's more people, but I've really invited Lucas, and whoever wants to come up to Santiago's pipe, we'll love to have you. But yes, I want to say that because I didn't tag you, Lucas, and it was you, the one I was inviting. So I feel really bad. I'm sorry.
Oh, what just happened? Did he just run? Oh, now he's
I don't
upset, Jenny.
know. I know. Don't
You
be
didn't
upset.
tag
No,
him. You didn't
Lucas.
tag Lucas, and Lucas is upset. So there you go. Why he's coming back up?
No.
No, he's never.
Santiago.
Yeah, Lucas is never upset. So probably
Lucas,
some.
Can you hear me?
no.
Can you hear me? Uh,
Oh, he's not. Okay, he's
yeah, I got
back. We
rugged.
thought you were upset
I
at
got
Jenny
rugged.
for not
I
tagging
got
you.
rugged. I switched from the Wi-Fi to my network because it's actually better than the Wi-Fi and safer too, so that I don't get rugged. Like, 'cause the audio was getting scratchy, so I was like, screw the Wi-Fi, pretty much.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
How do you say Santiago forename? I just love that name. Can someone say it so I know
I
it?
can say it if you want.
Yes, that would be great.
It's Santiago Carmuega. It's a tough one.
Wow.
Is there anybody to repeat it?
It's so pretty.
I'll say it. Santiago Caramuega. No?
Whoa.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jenny, you don't count. Let's have John say it. It's his day off.
Oh, dude, I'm the most Americanized Mexican you ever heard in your life. Okay, Santiago Carmuega.
Close enough, yeah. Good job.
Oh, okay, great.
Not
Back to the
bad, though.
show.
Not bad. I haven't spoken Spanish in a long time.
Me and him are from South America, so the first and last names we give y'all are probably not even the full names that we actually have, right? There's the middle name and probably two last names involved.
You say
That's so
that,
funny.
Lucas. I met this Mexican girl at dance yesterday, and one thing led to another, and I asked her for her second name, and she said, "I don't have a second name. I just have two." I'm like, "What? Are you sure you're Mexican?" Anyways, carry on.
Yeah.
Can I take a second here too to just compliment you, Lido? You are a very great role model for men.
Oh yeah, thank you. Quasar doesn't agree.
Quasar is like, don't pump his fucking ego.
Oh man, but no, let's get to the dev talk. So I'll tweet out the space.
Oh, please, dear God, can we start the fucking show?
Tweet out
If
the
you have any
space. Anybody's
complaint,
got questions about developing on Cardano. If you've been building something and like have run into issues, coming up, these are people who look under the hood of Cardano often, and they could probably answer some questions or at least point you in the right direction. So, Jenny, back.
Light, I'm missing. I can't hear, so I'm probably gonna have to step down and come back.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh no, I can hear you now. Okay,
Nobody could hear him.
I was gonna say back to you. Did you have I guess we could just start with the introduction of TX Pipe itself. What is it? Who are in it? How do people join it? Is it a company? Is it a band of brothers? What is TX?
It's a good definition, a band of brothers. But yeah, we are a company. We are developers, mainly from Argentina, but it's also Lucas and a couple more all around the world. And what brings us together is that we all agree that Cardano is great technology, and we all want to help build it. But we are lacking, from our perspective, tools to make the life of developers a little bit more simpler and friendly to develop on Cardano. So that's the mission, to try to improve the developer experience in Cardano by providing tools and, in particular, open source tools that anybody can use.
So, do you have employees? Do you have a product? How do you make money?
Well, we're in the process of finding that path. Recently, we launched Demeter.run, which is a platform as a service. The idea is that you get a place, a cloud-based environment that developers can spin up in a matter of a few minutes, and they get everything that they need to develop in Cardano from that platform. There's a free tier, so developers that just want to try it out, they can. But our goal is to provide paid plans for developers that need more resources, more bandwidth, more throughput, and that's the way that we are trying to make a self-sustainable business model from building open source tools.
Ooh, Santiago, you have anything to pin up at the top regarding that?
Yeah, I'm pretty new to the spaces, but I will try.
If you don't know how to do it, we can help you. You can just DM it and I'll pin it up. That's great.
While
Yeah.
we're pinning that to the top, maybe this would be a good time too to just give people the menu of tools and stuff that TX Pipe.
The menu. There's a lot.
It's a la carte.
I
It's
love
not
it. I
okay.
know. You do have it's like a menu. I actually have to say, great website. It's very well put together. I was able to really drill down on all this stuff and makes it very even easy to non-dev. I'm not a developer, so it's been great that it makes it easy for me to understand what you guys do, which is I think that's already bullish. I'm sure for developers it's a given. So yeah, want to talk about all this stuff too. So bring it on, Lucas.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the kind of main first one, the flagship one, right, that I think is in being used the most at the moment is Aura, right? And it essentially takes blocks, right, synchronizes with the blockchain from arbitrary points and sends them as events to data processing pipelines or webhooks or anything like that, right? So um, JPEG Store uses it. I think Smog Pool's using it. He even built like his own little sync for it. So that one's super, like that's our most popular one, I'm pretty sure. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Santiago. I also simplified like what it's for a bit, right? Just to kind of keep it on a high level. But essentially, if you want to treat blocks as they come in on the blockchain as like events into your system, like your backend, right? That's what Aura is useful for. And then, there's like filters. So like if you only care about transactions, you can listen to that, right? If you only care about outputs, you can listen to that. If you only care about mints, you can listen to that. And then there's scrolls, right? Scrolls is, there's like DB sync, right? And so you want some kind of like way to query the state of the blockchain, right? And DB sync does that. It sort of puts it in this kind of like relational model in like a Postgres database. And that's nice, right? It's expressive and flexible, and there's all kinds of queries that you can come up with and write. But the problem is that for some of the hot paths, right? Like some of the queries that are used the most often for building transactions, right? Like for example, getting all of the UTXOs at an address, right? You kind of have to start using a lot of join statements, right, in DB sync, and that can start to impact performance a little bit, right? And so the approach that Scrolls takes says, okay, we kind of more or less know upfront the kinds of queries or the shape of the data that we're going to be asking for. And so Scrolls says we're going to make these caches in Redis. The backends are technically arbitrary, but right now the main one is Redis, right? And so you have these kind of like caches in Redis with the data that you would query in the proper shape. And so this means that perhaps maybe you have some data that's redundantly stored, which is fine, right? Because the benefit is that you get lightning fast kind of like UTXOs by address queries and stuff like that, right? So it's nice because that's one of the kinds of queries that you're going to be running the most often if you're running a dApp that needs to be building tons of transactions. So you want that to be fast, right? That's good for your user experience. And so that's the kind of approach that Scrolls decided to take, right? Another similar tool is Kupo, right? Kupo is also very good. Some different design decisions, but it's also very good. And then there's also Carp. And people don't know this, but Carp, as far as I understand, uses Aura to sync the blocks and then store them in a Postgres database. So Carp is kind of like directly a DB sync replacement, where Scrolls could replace DB sync for you, but it's doing it in a different way, right? Like Carp is very much like, okay, we're also Postgres. You know, they're just trying to kind of their schema is a little different, right? But Carp is pretty similar to DB sync in that sense, and they use Aura as well, right? And then of course there's Icon, which is kind of like a new programming language for writing smart contracts, right? And the idea is to kind of like really improve the developer experience around that, because Plutus is fine, it's nice, and Haskell's cool and all that, but personally, I don't like using Cabal. I just find the whole kind of like build tool ecosystem for Haskell to be a little frustrating sometimes, and so, I was a little tired of the situation, and I was like, man, I want to write smart contracts on Cardano, but I don't want to do it like this. So I'm just going to build my own thing, right? And since I was already helping Santiago with Aura and some stuff with Scrolls and kind of already affiliating with TXPipe, I was just like, all right, I'm just going to launch this under TXPipe, and then we could kind of just like help each other out. And that's kind of how that evolved. And, Icon's almost ready now. We're pretty damn close. And then there's a couple other projects that are kind of coming in the pipeline, like Dolos, which we're going to start on soon, and there's Aura V2, which is we're gonna introduce these kinds of like breaking changes into Aura, so that's why we're going to call it version 2, and it'll be kind of like new and improved, and a couple extra features that we've been wanting for a long time, but aren't able to do without kind of like breaking version 1. So. There's also Kelly, which is kind of like a Kubernetes operator. And so, Kubernetes, for people that don't know, is like this kind of like cloud magic thing. No, I'm kidding. It's it's like a way to manage and deploy your applications and services, and you don't really necessarily have to worry about like an EC2 instance or like a raw VM, right? Like it sort of abstracts that away, and now you have this kind of like new abstraction with like pods, containers, and all that. And it's really useful. You can have nodes on there, you can have stake pools on there, right? You have your applications backend on there. You can host your front end from Kubernetes, right? And most developers know what it is, right? And Google has like managed services, Amazon has managed services. So the idea with Kelly is to have a Kubernetes operator specifically for Cardano related things, to kind of help manage the lifecycle of peripheral Cardano services that you're going to want to host on your Kubernetes cluster alongside your application infrastructure. Am I missing anything, Santiago? Did I?
No, not at all. There's a lot of tools. Each one tries to fulfill one of the pain points that we found while developing in Cardano. But as I was commenting at the beginning, all of these tools require some onboarding process, which might be a little bit overwhelming if you are new to Cardano. And our focus is to try to onboard new developers, maybe developers that are not really familiar with Cardano and their tools. That's where we see Demeter, this platform as a service, as a way to maybe welcome developers from other ecosystems, maybe developers that are new to Web3 altogether. And by giving them a way to develop on the cloud, where all of these tools are already installed, you don't have to care about setting up things, installing databases, restoring data volumes. You just forget about that, and in a few minutes, you have your own dev environment and you can start hacking. And then if you see that this is the right ecosystem for you, maybe you go to the next thing a little bit more involved.
Before we get to the thanks for that, Santiago, and we'll definitely get into the meta details. Before we get to Riley's question, just to round up the menu question, what's the difference between Icon and Palace?
So Icon is just a programming language and sort of smart contract toolkit, right? We have the Plutus virtual machine. Me and Casey rebuilt that. We looked at the one that they have in Haskell, and we just rewrote the virtual machine for Cardano smart contracts in Rust. And so Icon's kind of like in that realm of things. Palace itself is like the sort of fundamental building blocks that make up Cardano, right? So it's like the serialization and deserialization format for a transaction or a block, right? It's all CBOR, but those data structures need to be represented in the programming language that you're using, and then you need to define how they get encoded and decoded. So Palace has all of that, right? You can decode and you can encode and decode transactions. It has some of the Ouroboros mini protocols like ChainSync and block fetch, and there's a couple other ones. And so that's the idea, right? That's the difference.
So you would together, would you Palace and Icon together?
Well, Icon does depend on Palace for quite a few things, yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. So,
And yeah, it's important to understand that when you're building the app, you will probably have to deal with building the on-chain component, meaning the validators and smart contracts, and also the off-chain components, which are those parts of the system, usually called middleware, that has to interact with the change by sending transactions or reading data and providing a front end to the user. Those are all the off-chain part of your DApp. So Icon, it's a new language to help you build the on-chain components, the smart contracts, and Palace deals a little bit more with the off-chain part in a sense, because it allows you to interact with the Cardano node directly. It allows you to deserialize things, as Lucas was explaining.
Great.
I think
One last thing on the menu.
Sorry, it's
Yes.
very relevant. I think it's not fair to just call Icon a language because of the fact that you guys rewrote the Plutus virtual machine, and I know that a lot of the other languages or language implementations alternative to Plutus TX don't do that, and they sort of require that the original virtual machine written in Haskell is used.
Yeah.
So I think that usefulness is going to that's going to provide way more utility than just having this alternative language, in my opinion.
Yeah, we discussed that with Lucas about having two different terms for those two parts, because you have Icon the language and Icon DVM. But I'll let Lucas explain a little bit more on that front.
Yeah, so that's pretty much spot on, right? And thank you for mentioning that. And one example of the power of this is, Alessandro's here. What's up, Alessandro? Unless that's a scammer. Is it a bot? Get him out.
No, that's him. That's him.
Get out. I'm kidding. When V2, bro. I'm kidding.
I've been asking the same question.
Yeah, I know.
Alessandro threw you off. You're like
Yeah.
flustered now.
No. We talk all the time. We're cool. So in V2, no wait, what the hell am I talking about? V2, shit.
Icon.
Yeah, Icon. So he has this library called Lucid, right? And he was very keen. He's very passionate about kind of like client side computation and stuff like that, right? And so he leveraged Icon in Lucid to be able to calculate the exact X units you need on the redeemers when sort of building a transaction that has a smart contract in it, right? And so this allows him to make one less call block frost, right, when building a transaction. You could either use block frost, right, to get the X units for the redeemer, or you use a node, or you use Ogmios to proxy to the node. And so with that, we just get rid of that dependency completely and bring it into the application, right? And that's pretty powerful. So that's just one example, right, of like what's possible because we redid the VM and made it available as a library, right? And it's not that you can't do that with the Haskell stuff. It's just Rust is super easy to compile to WebAssembly, right? So he just took that, included it in his fork of Cardano serialization library, and then it just compiled to WebAssembly pretty much first try, which is pretty nice. And yeah, right. So that's just the goal, right? It's like we want this like kind of like toolkit, and then it started out of curiosity, right? I was like talking to Casey, and I was like, man, can we like reverse engineer these closed source smart contracts? And so we figured out how to decode the bytecode or whatever you want to call it, and from there I was like, can we run it? And so we built the VM, and then I was like, shit, well, we have all this, we might as well build our own language on top of it, right? And so that's where we are now, right? And then as we went along, we made everything very modular, so that like anyone that kind of comes along after us can pick up whatever pieces they want and stitch them together as needed.
Yes, something interesting is that if someone would want to build a new node, for example, could use Icons VM as the part that executes the Bluetooth validators on chain.
Wow. Okay. One last question, Riley. Sorry.
Yeah.
The other thing that you have on here that's coming is something called Boros. How is that different than the current Summit API?
Yeah, I can take that one. The Submit API works by sending a request and expecting a reply, and it's all synchronous in a sense. The idea of Boros is that it will allow you to do roughly the same thing, but with more volume and with a lot more of guarantees regarding the transaction. The idea is that you will have a work queue where you just send whatever amount of transactions you want to send, hundreds, thousands, and they will stay in that work queue. And Boros will just go and try to submit them as fast as it can, and it will wait until the transaction is confirmed in the mempool and then confirmed by the block. And when it's all done, it will remove it from the work queue. So as a user, you can just fire and forget the transaction and then go and see if everything that you sent was correctly submitted with X amount of confirmations in the chain.
That is dope. Cool. I think that covers the big ones. I'm sure there's other random little things here and there and tools and utilities that we didn't cover, but yeah, that's a good place to start. What's up, Riley?
Yeah, I'm curious. Actually, so with regards to Palace and it being a dependency of Icon and other tooling, I mean, it sounds like it's an alternative to the CML. Is that correct? And if so, do you think that having the CML and Palace as downstream dependencies of things like Lucid is going to end up being an issue? Why did you guys end up not sort of, I mean, because the CML is in Rust as well, right?
Yeah, I have a lot to say there. Santiago, do you have anything you want to say before I go?
Go ahead and then I'll chip in.
Okay. Well, all right. I don't like the CML. I'm just going to say that right now.
Oh wow! Shots fired.
No. It's not like that. I just like the Rust code itself is a little messy and non-idiomatic Rust in a sense because it very much is wanting to compile to WASM from the beginning. Now there's this new version coming out with the CDDL code gen that looks really good. So we'll see where that goes. So and it's not to say that there isn't good work there, right? Because Sebastian and then Rob, who does a lot of the work there, they're very smart and they're very nice. So it's nothing against them or anything like that. That being said, I don't like using it. I worked on it a little bit, and it was very frustrating to work inside of it, right? Like I couldn't use the formatter in VS Code because like some of the code was auto-generated, right? And the philosophy is a little different, right? Whereas CML has an interest in sort of deriving Rust code from the ledger specifications, right? The Seaboard Data Definition Language, CDDL, and on the Palace side of things, we tend to say like, well, it doesn't really change that often. So you don't really get a lot of value kind of like auto-generating that, right? Like once you do the Byron decoding and encoding, like you're done. Like you're forever going to be able to encode and decode Byron, and same for Shelley, right? So you only really need to update things when a new error comes out, which, isn't every week. It's like at worst every couple months, right? So I don't really see the benefit of auto-generating Rust code for that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, because it has like such a coupling with like WASM, it makes it super annoying to use from the Rust side of things, right? So it's like I use a function from there, and then I have to match on like the return result, and it's like this weird JS error object, and it's like I don't even care. Like I'm using it from Rust, right? So it's like really nice that there was something that people could use from JavaScript, and that's great. And then on the other side of things, I would like to use Palace to build another transaction builder, right, in Rust, and then I would like to expose that to JavaScript using a Node add-on, right? So like the Node FFI stuff. So it just runs natively, right? Like you don't need no WASM. And people like to say like, oh, WASM runs at like near native speeds, and it's like, yeah, kind of, sort of, not exactly. You still need to JIT the thing, right? So it's like you still have WASM that needs to be interpreted and it needs to be executed, right? Instead of just raw machine code running, right? So my idea is to sort of take Palace, build a Node.js add-on using the Node FFI stuff, right? Rust has a pretty cool library called Nappy, which stands for Node API, right? And then with that, we could probably build a really awesome transaction builder in JavaScript for JavaScript, TypeScript projects. Works in Node. Downside is that it doesn't work on the client. I personally don't have a big interest in, forgive me, Alessandro, a big interest in building transactions on the client side, because there are valid and amazing use cases for it, and CML already handles that, so okay, solved the problem. Most of the time, though, you're probably going to build your action end, right? Your off-chain code, right? And so you're probably going to have your front end send some data to like a REST API or whatever, and then you have this endpoint on your back end that's going to receive this JSON blob, and then build the transaction on the back end, which is probably Node or something like that, and then send it back up to the browser so that the wallet extension can sign it, and then you're good to go, right? So that's kind of like where I'm at with that. I don't know if that answers your question, Riley.
No, I think that was perfect, and I think it'd be interesting to see whether or not kind of leveraging Palace using WASM would be a good intermediary step for things, but I'm definitely not nearly as versed in Rust and sort of WASM as I think you guys are. So it'd be an interesting conversation to have offline, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to add that the scope is similar. It overlaps between Palace and CML at the deserialization and serialization of the transaction primitives. But Palace also has other building blocks. For example, all the networking layer, it's pretty interesting because it gives you the building blocks to connect to a node and to interact with the node using Ouroboros mini protocols. That's something that, as far as I know, there isn't many tools in the Rust ecosystem that allows you to do that.
Super cool.
Right.
For the benefit of people who might listen to the recording later, can we get a definition for CDDL and CML?
Yeah. So CML is Cardano Multi-Platform Lib. It formerly called Cardano Serialization Library. It was started at Emergo by Sebastian, then forked by DC Spark and renamed. And they're improving it. It's a good library. A lot of people use it. CDDL stands for Seaboard Data Definition Language. It is a readable format language thing to be able to define schemas for CBOR encoding and decoding. CBOR being the encoding format that Cardano uses for pretty much everything.
And then so the CML, the multi-platform lib, that's more used in the browser for um, building transaction and stuff.
Yeah, that is its primary use case, encoding and decoding of blocks and transactions, and it has a transaction builder. And so, right, like to do anything, you need to build the transaction. So it's actually, without that library, we would not have anything that we have right now. Right. So I did say some things earlier, but let me stress, right, the importance of that library on this ecosystem, right? It really, really helped the entire ecosystem. It's a very important library, and a lot of people use it.
Great. Were you gonna say something else? Before I ask the definition question, Lucas?
I don't think so. I just wanted to. Well, no. That's it. And like Santiago said, right, Palace is not just encoding and decoding of transactions, right? We have that small overlap, but then there's also all of the networking, Ouroboros, mini protocol stuff going on, right? And Aura uses Palace to do chain organization, to then start feeding blocks as events, right? So we have this kind of like relationship between all of our libraries, right? Scrolls depends on Palace, Aura depends on Palace. Icon uses Palace for a couple things, right? And there's even some code in Icon that is likely to end up getting refactored out of Icon and put into Palace because it's just more holistic that way, right? Probably like a Palace Plutus kind of sub-module, if you want to think of it that way.
Great. One more question, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll get into Demeter after the break. Before the break, let's double down on your love of Node and disinterest in the browser. And I guess this goes back to some of the feature set for Icon in the future too, right? So one of the things that is encouraged by IOG or like good blockchain people is this concept of distributed accountability, which emphasize on the ability for things to be run and or verified in as decentralized or on the edges as possible in the browser, on the phone, less and less dependency on the node backend and things like that. How are you guys thinking about just that piece of distributed accountability when you're building these tools? ICANN specifically, Palace, and this future node SSI goodness. How are you processing that?
Well, for example, in Aura, the idea is to query data from the chain, right? We try to capture blocks and return events, but there is a catch. You're connecting to one relay node or to your own full node, and you have to trust the node that you connect to. So there is a trust relationship that you have to take into account when you are thinking about self-accountability of the data that you're processing. Many times on a project, one would use Aura as part of the infrastructure connected to a node that it's also handled by the same infrastructure team. So there is a inherent trust relationship there. So you don't have to care about that. But there is a question that if you wanted to be truly self-accountable, Aura in itself, for example, wouldn't be that. Luckily, there is Mithril, one project by IOC that could allow us to maybe explore use cases where we use lightweight tools such as Aura to query the blockchain data, but get security that data it's valid by using Mithril to get a certificate and a snapshot of the data instead of having to just trust the node you're connected to.
That's super cool. And then what about for stuff like ICANN? So right now you can get the X units directly in the browser. Are there anything on the roadmap about doing other things in the browser, potentially even on the verification side of things at all?
Say that again. What do you mean exactly?
So right now with the icon, is that the VM that Alessandro compiled into Rust into WASM that
Yeah,
just gives you the
yeah.
right?
That's
Is there any other things that could run in that same context directly in the browser without the need of having to talk to a node that's on the roadmap or that you're thinking about?
I see what you mean. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. That's like the big one there, right? Is like you need to get the Redeemer X units. Otherwise, you can't submit the transaction properly. And um, and I don't know. I can't really think of anything, right? That's just like one aspect of it, right? And then there's the whole other, like as far as using the VM, right? Like a goal that I have that I've been talking to KTORs about is a kind of like a testing framework built into the Icon language, and we can run your tests locally because we have the VM, right? So it's like we could just compile them, run them, and then you can have your tests. I also kind of want to do like fuzz testing, and I don't know. Maybe there's kinds of like interesting bugs that we might be able to detect in like your already compiled contracts, right? So I don't know. It's kind of just gotta like explore and see what we can do. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Alexander came up. Did you want to add to the combo?
Yeah, I want to add something to the browser versus the backend conversation.
He's mad at me. I pissed him off.
Yeah,
Pissed him off.
Rightly so. Rightly so.
I'm kidding.
I'm a browser maxi,
Hey man, no
So
hate, no hate. I'm not hating.
no worries. Yeah, I mean both have their existence, but I think what is really cool about having the stuff in the browser is that you don't have to care so much about scaling your application, especially if your application is pretty lightweight. So I think we will see many applications that may not even be huge dexes or whatever. It can be something simple like a tic-tac-toe game or whatever. And why would you want to host, or why do you have to host an entire server for this? Something like this could easily run in the server, on in the browser, and it can be like still a very popular application. And I think we should have both options. And regarding self accountability, of course, right now you can have most of the parts for transaction building in the browser already. Of course, you still rely on, I don't know, BlockFrost or a central server to query data from the blockchain. But I think this can also be like made even more decentralized if the wallet itself is injecting a provider into the browser, then you have basically full control over all the data you see and what you built, etc.
So when we're thinking about what kinds of things you can get, what kinds of answers you can get directly from the VM versus the Cardano network, is there a litmus test of like if it has these criteria, you could probably get that information without having to go talk to a live node? Um, that you guys can any of you can think about? Is there a good litmus test for that? Or not really?
Mm, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the
Me
question.
too.
You're
Yeah,
high,
so
bro.
what made the X unit stuff possible, right? And then what kinds of is there like a good pass or fail test of if it doesn't look like this, then you definitely need to talk to a live node.
Oh,
versus.
so you're saying, how do you confirm whether or not ICANN has actually properly calculated the X units?
Yeah, on like just more like so all the different things you can get from a Cardano node, all the different questions you might ask the node.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming right now with the sender does getting the X unit is the only thing I can provide right now without the node. Is that true?
Well, I mean, it's the most heavily used use case of the non-language side of ICANN. I wouldn't say
So
that's the only thing you could
what
do,
made that
but
possible? How come you can do that without the node? Maybe let's just
because
ask it
yeah,
that way.
okay, understood, got it. Because we have the virtual machine. Simple as that. We rebuilt the virtual machine, and now perhaps maybe I can explain a little bit how the virtual machine works. Right? You have this thing called untyped Plutus core. We're just gonna leave it at that. Right? It's a weird lambda calculus thing. You don't have to worry about it too much. Um, as it executes this thing, every kind of piece of execution that happens incurs a cost known as the budget, right? And there's like an upper limit to the budget, right? It's just how you kind of like achieve determinism, right? Like you have this kind of guarantee that the damn thing's going to stop, right? So if like somebody writes an infinite loop in this low level language, eventually it'll overspend the budget and it's just going to throw an error and it'll stop running, right? Um, and so we built that. We have the budget and the cost model stuff in there. And so as a result, you could just run it and it'll give you back the budget that was consumed by your smart contract that is within the transaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I? Yeah. So I can definitely check your contracts when it evaluates them, but there's still actually a small dependency on the data you query from the chain. So it just happened recently to me that I queried data from BlockFrost, the UTXOs, but the addresses within the UTXOs were actually wrong. They were enterprise addresses, but should have been base addresses. So addresses with a stake key. So that means the script context was built differently, and so the execution units were off. And of course, right now, nodes usually reject transactions that have wrong execution units, but technically, that doesn't even need to be the case. They could be submitted because it's like a phase 2 evaluation, and so you could lose your collateral. So there's a small dependency or reliance on the chain on the node you queried the data from.
Neat. Well, I think that's a perfect place for a good break. What you think, CookThyme?
CookThyme. Mid-roll.
She's making food.
I am right here.
What are you cooking?
I'm not cooking anything. I'm packing. I have a 5-hour drive to Miami for Thanksgiving stuff. But this is the mid roll. This is Cardano Over Coffee with the Wednesday crew. We have Lido and Jen and myself. CookThyme. Co.
Are you cut? Who's like typing? Lucas.
Shit.
Luke. Okay.
And we just want to thank TX Pipe Tools for coming on. We have show basically Monday through Friday at 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. UTC. Our other big announcement that we always like to talk about is to get your ADA off exchanges. If you are not sure what we're talking about, you can always DM one of the speakers. We'll be more than helpful to basically help you get your ADA off exchanges and practice decentralization with your money. So without further ado, I'll toss it back. I don't know if there's a Lido minute. Works?
We're doing a bridge version. Catalyst is back, baby. Next meeting is November 30th, and then there'll be a meeting or two through December 11 that week at least, and then Catalyst will break for the holidays. Fund 10 is scheduled to kick off May
Today's our last day
1.
to repent. This is your last chance to repent, guys, before we get started again.
And then there's also a rumor that the Circle V vote is about a month away. Hopefully, finger crossed.
Where are you hearing this?
It's a rumor, Quasar. This is how rumor works.
The Lido Minute, where rumors begin.
It's a rumor. But if you're interested in helping with Catalyst, participating, look up Daniel Rebar, subscribe to his Friday newsletter. You will get all that in your inbox, and including the link to subscribe to the reoccurring Wednesday town hall meetings. Check it out. If you do not know what Project Catalyst is, go to lightdonation.com, type in Catalyst. We've written about the thing 22 times. Yeah, back to the show. I just pinned a tweet to the top about the tweet from Demeter. Demeter.run. Let's start with, I think we went through the super basic high level. It's a cloud-based developer environment that makes it so you can just write your code without thinking about the Cardano dependencies. But let's start from the bottom and then sort of go into what it can do. So for Demeter.run, the version that's available today, what would it not be a good fit for? What kinds of applications would it not be a good fit for?
Not a good fit? Okay.
Yes.
So if you're happy with BlockFrost, that level of flexibility, then you should probably use BlockFrost for your project. But if you need to go a little bit low level, if you have specific queries that you want to do to the ledger data, if you have specific interactions that you want to execute against the node, if you find that Ohmios is a good tool that you can use to interact with the chain, then probably Demeter will be more interesting and more flexible than what you can do with BlockFrost directly. But on top of that, and I think that the best feature that Demeter has currently is that you also get an IDE, an integrated development environment based off VS Code that has all of the dependencies that you need to build Ludus TX already installed. And you have also the CLI for the Cardano node. You have all of the utilities already installed in that VS Code IDE. So you don't have to set up anything on your local machine. You can just start coding there and get access to these low-level components that I mentioned, such as DB-Sync, Ohmios, the Cardano node, and the Submit API.
Super cool. So you go to Demeter.run, you sign up, it gives you an ID, and attached to that, I guess it will give you can you talk through how if you wanted to say talk to DB Sync or talk to the Cardano node, what does that flow look like?
Yeah, sure. So you go to the site, you create your project, you sign up, and that will allow you to start creating these workspaces, these IDs that you can use. Let's say that you have already some GitHub repo that you want to use, or you want to start from scratch. You select the repository, the Git repository, and you select the size of the virtual machine that you need to use and the stack that you're going to be coding with. You have options for Go, for Rust, for Plutus, for Haskell. Once you select all of those options, it will create this workspace and you will get a URL that it's for you, just a single access point for this IDE. And then you just start coding. But let's say that you want to submit a transaction, or let's say that you just want to query the state of the chain. If on a normal circumstances, you would have to either install your own node, wait until it syncs up, install dbsync, restore from a snapshot, install Ogmios, install the submit API, all of these things you would have the requirement of going through the process of provisioning in your local machine all of these different components. From the Demeter workspace, you just enter an embedded terminal that you get inside the IDE, and you already have access to all of these things. In the environment, you get variables that let you know where you should hit. For example, if you want to query the Postgres instance of dbsync, you will get the credentials and the host. If you want to access Ogmios, you will also get in the environment the host name and the port. Every piece of information that you need to connect to all of these components is already baked into the environment, so you don't have to do anything, just use it.
Great. So about the different stack, so you said Plutus, Haskell, Go, Rust. Is stuff like Icon or Plutarch, are those supported as well?
Well, yes, we're waiting for adding an icon starter kit. I will let Lucas tell us maybe an ETA on that one. But yes, each stack has a set of base dependencies, but then you can keep adding more. The idea is that if new languages appear, this will not be a TXPipe specific thing. The idea is that any tool that makes sense on the Cardano ecosystem, we want to be able to provide it through Demeter. In fact, we are trying to reach out to all of these developers in the community and teams that are building their own tools to see if they are interested in helping out integrating their tools into the platform.
Great. Did you want to chime in on the Icon stuff, Lucas?
In terms of when there's going to be a starter kit available?
Yeah.
End of the month, 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna say
What did you say?
sometime
And a
soon.
what? And what?
End of the month, 7 days. That's
roughly
crazy.
7 days. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
much everything's where I want it to be, and there's just some kind of like rough edges that need to be smoothened out, which is natural. Right? It's kind of like the long tail of a project, right? So we're pretty much all there end to end, like with the stuff we wanted to do, right? You get the syntax, the parser, little VS Code plugin, LSP. It's minimal right now, but we'll make it better over time. And then, formatting, type checker with the kind of type system that I want. Kind of like functional programming type system with type inference, some generics and stuff like that, like trick polymorphism. And then code generation is just wrapping up, so it's kind of like what we're waiting on. And then I have just like a few tiny tweaks to make to the parser to improve some error messages and stuff like that, right? So we're in like a kind of refinement stage now, and luckily the other person that helps me with that, because it's mostly just two of us, right? Alessandro throws down with us pretty regularly, but of course he has all his things to take care of, right? So we don't expect him to just kind of like push giant features on Icon, right? He did at one point though show up and do the transaction evaluation stuff because he needed it, right? And so that wouldn't have happened.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, that's great. And real quick, Alessandro, I agree with what you said earlier. By the way, it's true what you're saying, right? Like there will be apps that need to be client side or not, or they can just be client side, right? I think that's a perfectly valid use case. I think it's a use case that should be supported. It's great. It works. It's nice. And so yeah, I think cases.
Wouldn't it be nice to have something where you can say like, oh, this is what I'm trying to build, which choice works best for me? That would be awesome. Like if we could like have a way for people to make those decisions, because I guess everything has a use case, right?
Yes, Yes. Yeah.
And what would be
There's
like the points that you will as a as a developer you will want to consider when making those choices? Is what I
Yeah,
mean.
the Lucid library has a nice example of some of that, like reference if you're trying to do this. Yeah, but something at a even bigger,
Well,
at a higher level too.
Lucid works on the front end and back end, so it's pretty universal in that sense. You can use it for
Right,
whatever.
that's true.
Yeah. Now, whether or not you want to have client-side transaction building or not, it's really up to you. You know, if you kind of got like a big dApp or if you're like JPEG store or something like that, you're probably going to do it on the back end. It's probably the kind of situation you're going for, right? Like you have certain things you probably want to put into your database when like people are building transactions and stuff like that. So it makes sense. But I was those examples really good. Maybe you just have like this little client-side game, you know, and that works well
But
too.
I
Or the kind of
but I
stuff that will allow for people to be self-sufficient, right? And their stuff and use the resources they have. I mean, I think
Yeah. No, it
you're
makes
right.
perfect sense. It makes perfect. Client-side computation is a wonderful thing. Peer-to-peer computation is nice. It's all cool. It's very cool.
I'm just saying the Spaceless Marketplace is running entirely client side.
That's fire. That's super cool.
Whoa,
Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, that's super cool.
that's voodoo.
So yeah, like you could do a lot, right? But that's like also a trade-off, right? Because now, there's probably certain things you're not concerned with collecting for your database, so you can make that decision, right? Where
Yeah,
JPEG
that's
Store,
true.
like the way they architected it, right? Like they kind of have to do it that way, right? So it's just like you kind of like decide, like, okay, what do I want? What are the trade-offs, and what are the benefits, and then you go from there.
But if you know Alessandro, he's minimalistic AF. So yeah.
Yeah, that's his vibe. That's his vibe, and it's a good vibe. There's nothing wrong with that. It's super awesome.
He's
So
like, I'll do the work now, so I don't have to do it later. I grind now and chill later.
that's how it should be. Just a couple more questions on Demeter. So if people are thinking about getting started in developing Cardano, you should check it out. Do you get, when you're setting up these workspaces, do you get to pick the system level things, like whether or not you want, like if you're doing a backend, like a node backend, do you want Ubuntu, node version, those kinds of things, or does it just pick for you?
Well, right now you select the stack that you want to work with, and that defines what OS level dependencies you get by default. But yes, we're exploring how to make that more flexible in case you need some specific dependencies. And yeah, that's for workspaces. And regarding the other components like DVC and Cosmos, you can enable the ones that you want to use and just skip the ones that you don't.
That makes sense. And then the other question, do you have an eject function, and what do people get if they want to remove their dApp off of the meter?
Yeah. So the idea is that we want to avoid the risk of the meter becoming something that it's centralizing access to the apps. We are pretty small right now, so it's not a risk at the moment. But we want to design it in a way that we think about this kind of risk in the future. The way that we understand that could be a solution to the problem is that we try not to have any sort of vendor locking in the platform. Everything that you see in there, any tool that we integrate, must be open source and with a compatible license, probably Apache or MIT, so that you can take away the things that you're using in the meter. And if you want to self-host it, you can do it. The proposal from our side, from the meter, is that we will help that process by providing the scripts that you can use to maybe go to your own cloud provider, or if you're setting up your bare metal machine, and you can use those scripts to set up the same thing that you see in the mirror, the same console, the same UI, the same components, but you will have to take care of those components yourself. That's the trade-off.
Would you in the future at any point offer like like a Kubernetes configs or Helm or something as an export if somebody wanted to export that?
Yeah, the exports are a combination of Terraform scripts plus Kubernetes manifests. Everything in the meter
Okay.
is based on Kubernetes.
Great. And then the other thing, so which resources are shared with other dApps and which is like you get just for you when you spin up this, if you spin up an infrastructure?
Yeah, great question. So one of the benefits of the meter is that we can make better use of resources. It doesn't make much sense to have one DB sync per developer, one full Cardano node per developer. So these heavyweight components inside the meter are all multi-tenant. The Cardano node is shared, the DB sync instance is shared, the Ocmios instance is shared, and so forth. The part that is specific to you is the workspace. The workspace lives in your own namespace. It's isolated from the rest, and the only one that gets access to that to those resources, it's you.
Great. That makes a lot of sense. So how much of my ADA are you gonna separate me from for using this? What's the cost?
Yeah, well, we're working hard on that. Right now, we have this free tier. The idea is that we want to understand the usage patterns, and from there, we will try to find a good balance in the price. We will continue to have the free tier, of course. We are trying to aim at different price points. One for students and just people that want to try out Cardano, and that will be as low as possible. And then another price point for projects that are actually running on the chain that need more bandwidth, more throughput. But that will be for established projects, not for people just wanting to get to know Cardano.
Super cool. Anybody else have any questions
I
for the
guess
crew?
I just want to like I guess kind of like tie it with a bow a little bit more, like bring it back a little bit in the sense that you have all this really cool stuff happening. Like looks like you guys are building a whole, you have a whole ecosystem, a full infrastructure, which to me is essential and so exciting when it comes down to attracting developers into our ecosystem, because that's how people are used to working, like all these people are working on websites that we use today. They have like this whole systems, right? So it looks like you have this palace that's like, if somebody wants to get started and says, somebody that's here today says like, wow, I didn't know this existed. I love the idea of this or that. They connect with Aiken, they connect with Scrolls or all this awesome stuff. It seems like there's a lot of like, take it back to this, to Palace, right? Like it seems like a good place to get started. Would you, or what would you guys say is where people should get started with your awesome things that you have put out there for the community?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's great. I will go first, but then maybe Lucas wants to chime in. Actually, all of the things that we built, in a huge part of those are contributions from the community. It all started as a side project, and then it became something more interesting and more bigger because of the contributions from the community and the interest of other developers that saw on these tools stuff that they wanted to use. If you want to get involved somehow, we have this concept, which is not ours, it's borrowed from other open source projects, which is called Good First Issues. The idea is that you can go to the different repositories, and some of the issues are tagged with that label, Good First Issues. Because those are things that are easier to solve for new developers that just want to get to know the code base and want to get involved with something small at the beginning. So once you get past that, you will probably, once you get to know the code base a little bit better, you can just start to scratch your own itch. If you see something that you need in the tools, if you see something that is missing, if you see a bug, then just go there. And in our Discord server, We have a lot of developers, or everybody very welcoming, and we just like to hang out there and solve developer problems. So everybody's welcome.
Great. Anybody else has a question?
And that's for somebody that wants to get involved in that sense, and the people that want just to use your tools. Like, just join the Discord. Like,
Well, we have some documentation in each of the repositories. So the first place to go would be to the GitHub organization and just pick the one that makes sense to you. If you want to use Demeter, you have the demeter.run website that gives you access to the workspaces and the rest of the infrastructure. But if you're a developer, I would say GitHub. There's a lot of documentation. It can always be improved, and there's probably some gaps, but I think that you have a good starting point there.
that's great. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's what I would say. If someone came to me as a developer trying to, prototype an idea or something, check out Demeter, look at those starter kits, see if you can start with one of those, and then tweak it, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
The
but I'm
Lucid
thinking, of
library.
somebody like from outside, because we're always talking about like, oh yeah, like I have a lot of friends that they're into different things, but they
Right.
don't.
If you're a
Yeah,
developer, those starter kits is what I was saying you, right? Like you go there, you look,
yeah,
it's free to set up, and you can within 10 minutes you can start prototyping something, right? You pick a starter kit, you click the button, and you can start trying out your ideas.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the starter kits approach. Those are GitHub repositories, which are not tools, but are actually example projects. Something small, just to get started, but it's something that you can clone, and you will see a pink button there that says "Open" in Cardano Workspace. That will create a workspace with that example project inside. So yes, that's a very cool way to get to know how to code in Cardano if you're coming from the outside, or if you just want to try something new that you haven't tried before.
So why is Boros emoji the eggplant? I feel like that could cause some confusion.
Yeah, well, thanks for the feedback.
Okay.
what? Lido.
If you look at TX5 roadmap, they have little emojis for the different products, which is great. I love emojis.
Oh, I know
And
what you mean. Okay.
yeah. So, anyways, just putting that out there. It's like Cardano naming its token dust, right? It's like, oh my gosh, why are you confusing people? What was I gonna say? Oh, so it doesn't look like Demeter that run is open source. So how do you sort of decide what to open source and what not to open source?
Well, idea is to open source as much as possible. The only things that are not open source is the integration with the payment processor, which is something very specific to our business model. But anything that you use to actually run the infrastructure, anything that you see in the console that gives you access to those components, that is that everything will be open source. And you can, if you want, just grab the binaries or compile them yourself. It's a Node.js application, and you can set it up on your own Kubernetes cluster, and you will get the same experience. We truly believe in open source. I think that in a decentralized ecosystem as Cardano, you need to be open source. That's part of the ethos of the community. It's harder to make a business model on top of open source tools, but I think that that this approach makes sense because projects go through its own life cycle, right? When you start, you are more focused on your business, on the app, on your use cases, and you shouldn't be concerned about infrastructure problems. And that's where maybe a managed service as Demeter could help you get started. Once you get to a point where you're established project or you have the resources to manage your own infrastructure, then you should be able to just grab your thing and keep going your own way. We believe that there is this process. It's the best way to approach the problem.
And I love that. I have to say that too.
One hundo, as CookThyme would say. One last question, and then we can let you off the hook unless somebody else asks another last question. For the Kelly, the thing that's coming up for people who are using Kubernetes as part of their infrastructure, is it on the roadmap to support like all of the Cardano um types? So relay, producer, DB sync, submit API. What about stuff like Hasura, Argmills, GraphQL? Will you have what do you call it? What are those things? Do you know what I'm talking about?
We call them components, but
Uh,
maybe.
Kubernetes has if you're trying to teach it a new primitive, right? It has
Operator?
yeah, but the operator creates CRDs. Do you plan to have CRDs for stuff like Hasura and Argmills and Summit API and stuff like that?
Yeah, right. So the idea of Kelly is that it will provide you with CRDs for these Cardano components. And you will be able to define Cardano node just by saying that it is a producer and that it has these relays. And if you want a DB sync, you will just say, I need a DB sync from this network and use this snapshot as source. And all of those parameters will be defined in a CRD, and that's what you will be pushing as your resource when you deploy something. Then the operator, Kelly, running inside the cluster, will read that CRD and start creating lower level Kubernetes primitives such as deployments and stateful sets and persistent volumes that will be actually doing the hard work of running the node and running all of the other components.
So just for clarity, what about Hasura and GraphQL? Is that also on the roadmap? Because that's not a normal. That's one of the. It's not as heavily used compared to other Cardano components.
Yeah. No, we don't have them in the roadmap. The main ones that we want to get on the next couple of months is the Node, DB Sync, Submit API, Ogmios. But as we move forward, the idea is to include as much as possible. So probably after that.
Perfect. So fun. Well, bookmark this space, share with your developer friends, people not in Cardano yet. It's lots of good gems here, lots of tools, lots of libraries. I think the space you can share them. I think it's like 90 days now, or is it still 30 days before they
I don't
disappear?
know.
So share them. Thank you, Santiago. Oh my gosh, I can't say it. And Lucas for coming. Thanks for chiming in, Alex.
No, this is great. And I wanted to oh, hold on one second. I have to put you on mute.
I'm surprised BlockJock didn't show anything. What were you gonna say, Santiago?
No, I wanted to thank you for the space and the opportunity to share a little bit about what we are doing. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
I got nothing, Leto. I'm working and focused on supplying people with ding dongs right now. So I gotta stay focused.
Yes, let's stay focused. BlockJock, thank you for that. As always. It wouldn't be Cardano Over Coffee if we didn't have those crazy comments in between. What I was gonna say, thank you so much for coming. This has been great. I mean, I'm overwhelmed with so much amazing stuff that's just really happening, and it's important to bring it up out here and try to connect so people are aware of these tools. That there's different things, different ways of doing things, and contribute. And if you're listening, just share this out. You never know who is interested in this stuff, and you could be that person bridging it all together, right? It takes a village, and that's what Cardano is. We're supposed to connect, and this is for the greater good. This is what we're here for. This is, we're trying to bring it forward. We're trying to push this technology fast. That's the race. The race is for decentralization, so we can't get shut down. So we got to move fast. We got to do this. We got to connect this stuff. So thank you for coming. If anybody that you think that we should know about, let them know. We're always happy to have these conversations and make sure the information gets put out there. And I think that are you guys going to go for Catalyst on the next round? Just curious.
Yes, that's the idea. We got funded on the last one for Aura V2.
Okay, so we should be looking out for. So if you're interested and you're in Catalyst and you're participating in Catalyst, which you should, because it's part of the whole, participating in Catalyst in one way, shape, or form helps you connect even further with the whole development of Cardano, which is absolutely great in my opinion. So check it out and keep track of their proposals, and
Yeah, if you do the Kelly proposal again, I would be happy to help you put that into terms people understand, because that proposal was not approved. So it's not that it ran out of budget. It didn't get enough votes. But I don't think people realize that what that does for projects and stuff, right? So maybe not using words like Kubernetes and things in there. I can help. So we can get that funded. If you put that back in
And that's
content.
again brings it back to why it's important to have those things, right? Because then we synthesize these ideas and come up with ways to express it. I'm not a developer myself, but I like to kind of map people, and I know enough to understand. Like, I think this is something that a lot of people will be interested to know, but they don't know it. And I don't have the way of the lingo to even communicate it. So I just try to bring them all to one pot. Like, I'll be like, hey, Patrick, he was here up earlier. I think he had to step down, but I was like, I know this is up your alley, come. I can't tell you why, but I just know it, right? So this kind of things, they're important because we don't realize. I'm saying this again is because we really need it right now. Like the mapping of this stuff. I know a lot of people that can use tools that are available that they don't even know they exist. And if we could just focus on that in the next few months, dude, I get so excited just to think about it,
So
Thanks for coming.
so I have something to say. For the low cost of $5 a month, you too can sponsor a hungry Cardano developer.
Oh, they do have that now, right? You can sponsor people on GitHub.
Yeah, there you go. If you go to GitHub sponsors, you can find me. Alessandra's there. Casey Microproofs. Icon would not exist without Microproofs. That's his Twitter handle. So yeah, like those old commercials, right? You too can sponsor a hungry Cardano developer.
Hey, we're gonna add that to Cardano Over Coffee. I'm gonna say that now. That's so true. I promise.
You can
Yeah.
set it up
Hell
like
yeah.
the March of Dimes, like you get paid by the mile, you get paid by the line of code,
You
and each line of code produced gives you, yeah, sounds great. Let's do it.
start
It's
playing
the new Patreon, man, for developers. Hell yeah.
Right? I like it.
No, honestly, let's put some of that in the link tree, in the Cardano Over Coffee link tree to the sponsor page, for these humans. I don't know if there's a place that list all the Cardano folks on one page to make it easy for people.
That would be a cool idea. Yeah, it's like, hey, these are a bunch of Cardano devs. This is a link to their GitHub sponsor pages.
Right.
And then usually it's up to you as the person creating your GitHub sponsor's profile to define, like the tiers, right? So you can say like, oh, there's one for $5 a month, there's one for $25 a month, right? There's one for $100 a month. And if you do that, like, I'll put your logo on my website, right? You can kind of say those things, right? There's no kind of contractual obligation, but it's a good faith kind of thing, right? And I think, for example, Microproofs and KTORs, they both have like a higher tier amount that says, hey, if you do this one, I'll give you like an hour of consulting, like a month, right? So it's like every month you have like an hour where you can have a meeting with me and just ask me all the damn questions you want, right? So that's kind of up to the developer themselves to define those, but the page itself, you can link to that, and then when people arrive at the page, they can decide, I'll do 5. And it's like, I'll do 25, right? And you kind of go from there. And then this is nice because then that's a direct line of support to the developer themselves, right? Like you don't have some shiesty middleman that doesn't write any code trying to organize a bunch of developers into some kind of agency to like pay them 10% of what the hell they're charging clients, right?
One hundo, as CookThyme would say. No, if you're a project on Cardano and you sort of want to give back, this is something you should definitely consider. At Lido, we rotate our sponsors. We just have a budget and we just rotate people every 3 months, in and out of it, just in general, if we're using that tooling in any of our stuff. So
100. We're gonna get you
that's
in there, Lido.
people should consider that, right? It can be any amount, it can be $50. And you can go to one person or you can rotate them out. And that way you sort of at least you're helping, right? Cool.
Absolutely. I mean, I thought it was exciting. I noticed that the other day and I was like, oh, and I started clicking and seeing people's rewards and I was like, this is crazy. This is so cool. I can't believe this wasn't an option before. So definitely I'm gonna do a little, rotation like you say for some and maybe keep some on permanent, Why not?
No. Just put your credit card there and forget that you did it.
That's funny. Yeah, well,
Subscription service, feel me?
not financial advice, I have to say.
There are
Like
all
people
these
love
apps
saying.
now that will actually tell you, hey, are you still using this service?
I wish we can pay in ADA. That would be awesome. Like, you think eventually they're gonna start taking like crypto as payments? Can you do that?
But everyone's got an ADA handle here too, Just saying.
That is a thing.
That is true.
All right, I'll stop joking. I'll stop screwing around.
No, you're great. I mean, this is the part of the show where we sort of go into banter. So you guys are officially off the hook. We've got another 6 or so minutes just for shooting the shits and trying to feed starving Lucas and his band of brothers. So anybody else has anything to say, chime in, have a question in general, come up. Yeah, we've got about 5-6 minutes.
No one's asked me what my favorite anime is yet, and I'm a little upset about it.
Oh,
What's
now we
your
want to
favorite anime?
know. I mean, I told you your PFP was dope, but I didn't know you were like an anime.
I'm just messing around. Anime is awesome now.
Yeah, you grew up like people like in South America. It's like big. Like I grew up with that stuff. It was like what we watched on TV in Venezuela. It was like what we watch, and then I realized that it was like a genre later when I moved here. And for me, it was like it was on TV all the time, so it was just normal.
Nice. Yeah, it's super cool.
It's kind of funny. It really is true because it's
Hey,
big culture on it there.
Bleach is back. That's all I got to say about that. Bleach is back every Monday.
What is your favorite anime?
Oh, I don't know. I like a bunch of them. I was just trying to spark conversation.
No, man, you don't have an answer to a question you were like
Nah,
already
well,
predicting.
okay. So, I watch them, but I also read a lot of them. So the mangas, right, of course. And so obviously, I like objectively the best manga that there is, and it's One Piece, clearly. If anyone wants to argue about that, I'm down.
Yeah, Gold Rush. Do you want to argue about that?
No, there's no particular flavor of anime that I enjoy. Honestly, when I think of anime, I think of Voltron, and I know that's going to piss a lot of people off because that's not anime. But I have one question for the entire room. What's your favorite curse word? And anyone can answer.
I don't have a favorite curse word. I have a favorite word. It's anti-periplanar. It's like,
Oh.
Gold Rush,
yeah.
do we have to pick one? I mean, there's so many. Come on.
My favorite curse word is sketch.
Sketch.
What are you
I've
talking
That is
heard
not a
you
about?
like.
curse word. Is that a
How the hell
curse
is that a
word?
curse word?
I'm wondering now too.
I don't know. If I think something is sketch, it's sketch. That's a curse word.
Oh man, that is benign as hell.
What were you saying, BlockJock?
I want to
Oh, sorry, CookThyme.
go back to the anime thing.
Jeez.
So there's a really good anime that I found a while ago, and it's called Doro Hidoro, and it's on Netflix. So
Yeah, that's
out.
good.
So I'm curious with anime because I have something like there's a Blade Runner, but it's more like God, I don't know how to put it, but it's Black Lotus, I think it's called, and it's really good, but it's kind of a dark, but it is CGI based, but that's really not anime, correct? I'm really not versed on it very well.
It's very common. Usually,
I am not familiar.
yeah, I don't know Black Lotus specifically, but hey, man, if it's from Japan and they're speaking Japanese, you can call it anime. You know, even if it's stick figures.
Yeah, this isn't. It's like a really kind of like a series. It's like Blade Runner, but it's CGI, but it's more of a just art. It's like art on screen moving. It looks amazing. So,
Sick.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it's really badass. But that stuff.
Hell yeah, that's nice.
Wait. It has to be from Japan for it to be an anime. So are you telling me Love, Death, and Robots is not an
Well,
anime?
for me,
Wait,
I
which
grew
one?
up in Venezuela. We didn't call them anime. We call them, Japanese cartoons. That's how I
Yeah,
grew up, calling them Japanese cartoons.
Love,
Death and
Death,
Robots
and
is really
Robots
interesting.
from Netflix.
I love
that
That's
is.
that
an
one.
anime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
That's
I don't know. I wouldn't call that one an anime, to be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't really.
Oh, snap.
It is
Shots
an
fired.
animated anthology series, but
I see.
Yeah, it
What were
that
you
doesn't
doesn't have
saying,
the
Cook?
fit the
the
genre, Lido.
flavors, of an anime, right? Like I don't
it,
know.
That's what I mean. For me, it was like it has to be Japanese because that's what an anime
Okay,
started from.
okay. Since we
The
have
only
so much.
comparable, the only comparable non-Japanese one is like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like that
Ooh.
starts to kind of flirt with like what an anime is, right?
that's
Nobody's speaking Japanese. It's American, but it's there, right? It has the elements that you would expect from that kind of thing.
it's
So here's a question. If I was going to get initiated, you see, I tend to go dancing for my relaxation time as opposed to watch animes. But if I was to get initiated into this anime club and I liked the Avatar and Death, Love, and Robots, what would be a good gateway drug?
Okay, so there's a kind of like standard sort of intro, right? Most beginners usually end up watching Death Note at some point, so you could check that out. Bit strange, but classic and very good. You probably run into Naruto at some point, also very good. Very long though, so you're going to be in for a ride on that one.
I would
Uh,
I would jump to Shippuden too with Naruto. Like
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then yeah, definitely. And then there's also I just thought it, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood specifically. There was an original anime called Full Metal Alchemist, but it got too close to the manga and they didn't have enough content to actually produce more of the anime, so they kind of went off and did their own bullcrap story. So nobody kind of accepts it as like the canonical anime. So you want to watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's fantastic. You'll probably cry. So
Wow,
be prepared for that. Yeah.
I cry quite easily.
So I'm curious, does Speed Racer back in the day fall into that? Because I believe
I don't
it did
remember
come from
what
Japan.
animations. Yeah, I don't. Is it
I
is it a
thought
Japanese studio
when
that
you
does it?
I thought Speed Racer was also one of those things. I think that introduction came a long time ago, like with Sailor Moon, Speed Racer, even He-Man, and they said Mario the cartoon. Actually, a lot of that stuff came from like the Japanese artworks and stuff like that. I don't know like how the classification is actually set up. To.
Yeah, I mean, it's all loose, you know. Like, no one's out here trying to be an elitist either, right? So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. You know, I forget exactly Speed Racer's origins.
Yeah, that was
If you
my
like that, there's
gateway into it.
Initial D. Initial D is an interesting one with like car racing and stuff like that.
Well, I date
Dope.
myself, obviously, because I was watching that as a kid. That was my favorite thing, Speed Racer, because of the car, the racing, all that kind of good stuff. But you can
Oh
tell the
yeah,
monkey and everything. It definitely was not written originally in English because of the way the mouths were moving and everything. But I didn't care, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Now I think about it, I'm looking at I'm trying to like remember the characters' faces and stuff, and I'm pretty sure that was an anime.
Well, that seems like a great place to end the show on.
I'm OG anime, Lido. Remember that next time. I'm OG anime. Thank you.
I'm gonna have to decide which of these to start with.
And I just checked, by the way, an anime. It's a basically a cartoon from Japan with big eyes, like anything that has big eyes. They come from, so that's the actual definition, and it does have to be from Japan. Just putting it out there.
So the big eyes thing, right? If you kind of look at its origins, right? A lot of old anime looks like old Disney cartoons, and there's some influence there because like post World War II stuff, right? And like the way we started to kind of like influence things over there after that. And so you'll see like old Disney cartoons, big eyes and drawings that look like that. So a good example is Astro Boy, right? You look at old Astro Boy, it looks
Betty
damn.
boop, boop boop be doop.
You see, I thought the big eyes was just a cultural overcompensation, but the Disney thing makes way more sense. And on that silly, random, slightly sketchy comment, anything,
Just slightly
anything,
sketchy comment.
anything, anybody wants to end on? Any takeaway going to the
Lido,
holidays? Yes.
this is a
Duval?
family show, so I really rather you not use the word sketchy, you know, because my kids might be listening. So come on, man.
That's actually Lido's favorite cuss word. That's sketchy.
It's just like if I ask my kids, they're like, "What?" They look at me weird. They give me weird eyes if I say
Everybody's sketchy for Lido.
Well, not everybody.
I love it.
I like the people here right now. They're not. They haven't done anything sketchy yet.
Jenny, we just got upgraded. You see,
except maybe
Thanksgiving is
nice.
coming up, and I just want to say out there, I'm thankful for all of you for the opportunity that we have here to share, learn, grow together. And thanks for coming. Thanks, Lido, as always. CookThyme, Ada Girl, Alessandro, Lucas, Santiago. Thank you guys.
Peace.
And John.
Yeah, no
Talk
show tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
No show tomorrow.
Right.
We're gonna be saving the turkeys from drowning. So that's a thing. We'll be back on Friday, right? Friday?
It's not a thing.
It is a thing.
You want to make it a thing, but it's not a thing.
Yes. Have a great time spending time with your loved ones, and eat something good, and overindulge a little bit, and it's okay. So,
and Santiago, I know you think this is nonsense because you don't know what we're talking about because you don't have Thanksgiving, but just enjoy the vibe.
And the cow.